Hi, Neil McDonald here. I'm the president and founder of the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I realize that you have limited time, so I'm delivering an hour's worth of information in 15 minutes, which will clearly make it move very fast. This 15-minute video is intended for congressional representatives and their staff. It's a small investment in time to learn how to bring $100 million in new dollars to your state. The purpose of this presentation is to specifically introduce the HUBZone program and the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce to congressional representatives. We're not interested in lobbying anyone. Rather, we hope to highlight how the Small Business Administration's HUBZone program can benefit your district. And before we go farther, I wanted to share with you my view on stakeholders, which obviously congressional representatives are as a body. Down on the bottom right, you can see the bell curve here on this slide, and the quickest way to explain it is using a new iPhone model, say iPhone 11, since 10 is the current model. All stakeholder groups can be divided into these 5 groups you see on the bell curve. The innovators are the ones who sleep outside Apple's store for days before the new iPhone model is released. The laggards will never, ever, ever buy an iPhone, even if it could print money. You know these types, right? When I look at a congressional representative, I see them the same way. Some will instantly get the value of the HUBZone program to their district, and others will not really care. In order to best use our time, we want to quickly find those of you who are innovators. In the next 6 slides, you'll decide which stakeholder group you fall in related to the HUBZone program. Keep in mind, being a laggard is not actually a bad thing. I personally am an iPhone laggard. Well, unless it really did print money, and then I'd be on board. But the point is, we all change depending on the topic. So let me get started by introducing you to the HUBZone program. The HUBZone program got started a little more than 20 years ago to address challenges faced across America, challenges that still exist at varying levels. As you can see on this slide, Congress was trying to address high poverty rates, low income rates, and high unemployment rates. Those concerns don't stop. What does change over the years are the communities that struggle with these challenges. How they deal with these challenges is through economic development and workforce development. Basically, the idea is that if local small businesses can win federal government contracts, they'll reinvest those dollars into their communities by either hiring more people or making capital investments. Both obviously strengthen the community these small businesses are in. Not only are they helping create primary sector jobs, but through capital investments and recirculation of those dollars, secondary sector jobs are created, helping those who might not be qualified to support the government contract that was won. Just so we're on the same page, the government spends trillions each year, but only a portion is considered small business eligible dollars. This means the spending the federal government thinks that small businesses can support. The number is basically around $450 billion. Now, the federal government has a goal to set aside at least 3% of this to HUBZone small businesses across America. That number is basically $13 billion annually. And just to put this in perspective, of the $450 billion spent annually, the federal government has established a goal to set aside 23% to small businesses. They further break down that 23% goal with sub-goals: 5% for small disadvantaged business, 5% for women-owned small business, 3% for service-disabled veteran-owned small business, 3% for HUBZone. That leaves about 7% for small businesses of any designation. Now, I'm not going to go deeper into all of that here, but I use it to introduce the next slide, which discusses the problem, or depending on how we look at it, an opportunity for your district and state. Before I do, I wanted to stress that the HUBZone program is inclusive of all small businesses that are owned by women, minorities, and other disadvantaged people, and veterans. The success of the HUBZone program means the success of all small businesses, including these other 3 programs. So let's go ahead and talk about the problem I saw when I became involved with the HUBZone program. And here you can see it on the slide. This slide shows a line graph of the 4 small business programs managed by the federal government. You'll notice a black horizontal line that reflects the 3% goal the SBA established for HUBZone small businesses. In the life of the HUBZone program, it has never hit its goal. In fact, worse than that, since around 2009, the success of the HUBZone program for small businesses and for American communities like the ones in your district has steadily declined. This decline has happened while the other 3 programs have experienced success. The woman-owned small business, the service-disabled, veteran-owned small business programs both hit their goals, and despite a small dip in all of the programs, they're doing great with steady upward progress. Looking at the 8A program, I was just really motivated about what's possible for the HUBZone program. 8A set-asides were 200% of goal, which is awesome for small businesses in that program. One thing to note about this is that the 8A and HUBZone programs each have roughly 5,000 small businesses in them, so it clearly isn't an issue with the number of small businesses. If you look at the difference between the black line and the red line, which represents the HUBZone, you'll see that the HUBZone program is leaving $6 billion on the table. That's the delta. This $6 billion isn't going unspent, it's just being spent elsewhere. That could be other small businesses or even large companies like Lockheed Martin. This is exactly how we came up with our motto for the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce, to get the $6 billion off the table and into the American communities. To me, this meant looking in the mirror for the solution. Congress has already done their job by making the law and passing a budget. Together with the SBA and federal agencies, the money was put on the table. It's up to local communities, your district, and small businesses to come to the table to eat, so to speak. So I formed the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce to help small businesses across America communicate, cooperate, and collaborate towards this mutual success. I've already mentioned our motto and mission, so let me go ahead and talk about the vision for a second. For 20 years, the HUBZone goal and the intent of Congress has not been met. We in the Chamber believe that not only can we help meet this goal, but that we can get it done by the end of fiscal year 2019. There really is no reason it can't happen. The money is sitting on the table, federal agencies are committed to the 3% goal, and HUBZone small businesses obviously want the money. I believe the challenge is one of teaching small businesses that they must show up at the table. You can watch other videos we have to learn about our belief that what is required is more from the small businesses, not more from Congress or the federal agencies. As I mentioned, there's about 5,000 certified HUBZone small businesses across the country. It's clear that with more certified companies, the chances of hitting the goal are more likely. In fact, when the goal was nearly met around 2009, there were almost 10,000 HUBZone certified small businesses. Together with the SBA and PTACs around the country, the Chamber will get that number back up to 10,000 by the end of FY 2019. These sound like aggressive goals for us, right? But the reality is that with basic planning, we can make it happen. With your help, we can make it happen. Let me use a story to illustrate this for you. There's roughly 30 million small businesses in America. Of those, 1.7 million are registered to sell to the federal government. Of those, only 300,000 of them are actually registered properly and could win a government contract. Of those 300,000 small businesses, 4,054 are in Oklahoma. Now, almost the entire state of Oklahoma is considered HUBZone qualified, but only 301 small businesses are HUBZone certified. That means in this one state, 3,700 businesses that could be tapping into the $6 billion that remain on the table are ineligible. Imagine the benefit to Oklahoma if they were able to bring in an additional 100 million annually. That would be huge for all stakeholders in that state. Let me tell you a little bit about our history in the Chamber to show you what the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce is capable of. The HUBZone Chamber really got started in late March 2018. As you can see, within 5 months, we hit 900 active members. I'm recording this video in early August 2018, and I'm confident we'll be at 1,000 members by August 31st. That is a massive growth and a solid testimony to the need among the HUBZone community for a unified effort towards success. These active members are from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Island and every single state in between. As a dues-free membership organization, we believe in raising the HUBZone tide, if you will, and letting it take care of the boats, meaning we work for the success of all, not one. Take a look at June 28th here on the slide. This represents a massive tipping point for us. It's when the federal government buyers started reaching out to us. The State Department contacted us and told us of their challenge getting HUBZone small businesses to respond to an opportunity they had. They asked if we could reach out and encourage responses, which we did. Within 24 hours, over 80 HUBZone certified small businesses responded and expressed their interest and capabilities in this work. Imagine if one of the small businesses in your district won this $200 million contract. 2 weeks later, on July 10th, we repeated the effort for NASA. This was a unique type of work, but they still got over 30 firms to respond within 2 days. Imagine if one of the small businesses in your district won this $50 to $100 million contract. As I mentioned, I'm showing you this slide to point out that anything can be accomplished with a good team and determination from all stakeholders. The HUBZone Chamber's vision of getting 5,000 more firms certified and hitting the 3% goal by the end of the next year is totally achievable, especially with your support. Now, hopefully at this point, you've already begun to identify why you should care about the HUBZone program and see how it can benefit your district. I imagine that your state could easily secure $100 million in new federal contract dollars annually through your HUBZone certified small businesses. If that happened, can you imagine what the impact of $100 million new revenue for local small businesses would be throughout your state? Let me share a quick story about Texas. In 2017, Texas HUBZone small businesses, those that are local to Texas, won a little bit less than $50 million in HUBZone set-aside contract dollars. So those firms won $50 million, let's say. In that same period, HUBZone businesses outside of Texas won a little bit more than $300 million in HUBZone set-aside contract dollars. That $300 million were dollars originating from Texas-based federal agencies. Seems to me Texas probably would have wanted to keep those dollars in state. Wouldn't you want to maximize the amount of dollars small businesses in your district are winning? Which clearly I'm sure you do, and that's why I believe you should be actively engaged with us and the HUBZone program. The other three bullets are self-explanatory. What I think is great, though, is that those 3 points matter to you, I'm sure, and are priorities to local economic development councils, and are basically the whole reason the HUBZone program exists. It's a natural synergy that can benefit your district. The last thing I want to share is that despite the HUBZone program having the potential for massive upside to your district, your involvement is minimal. If you don't get involved, everything stays basically as it is in your district. But if you do get involved, your district and state could see significant progress in both workforce development and economic development. So I just told you how your district can benefit from the HUBZone program, but here's what we need from you. First, help the HUBZone Chamber of Commerce meet with your state's government leaders. We are already talking with key industry folks, but need your help to meet with the governor, lieutenant governor, and others actively engaged in the development of the economy and workforce in your state. If you only do one thing, this is the most helpful. We can discuss the second bullet in detail later, but you reaching out through a letter to key agencies will help increase the accountability factor on their part. As I'm sure you know, what gets measured gets done. We know the key government leaders that, if contacted, would be inspired to do even more to meet their HUBZone goals. This third bullet is about getting introduction within your state. Local agency leaders are always willing to help, but when there's the added visibility of a congressional representative, they're that much more motivated. And I don't mean this in a bad way or a reflection on them, but rather we as a chamber don't have the local relationships that you do. It would be great for the HUBZone firms in your district and state if we could get the local agencies more aware of HUBZone small businesses' impact on the local community. Again, I realize how busy you are, which is why we're keeping our asks very small. If you're interested in bringing $100 million in new dollars to your district and state, this should not take much time for you or your staff. We definitely can discuss in details and provide any help that you need from us. So if you're ready to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm based out of Washington, D.C., and can meet you downtown if that's helpful. I'm also available to meet in your district together with a local HUBZone small business owner and a member of the chamber. I want to thank you for taking the time to learn more about the HUBZone program by watching this video. Please visit the chamber website you see here to learn more. And then one last request, please freely share this video as we work to get the $6 billion off the table and into American communities.